FPL managers, welcome to the complete guide to Game Week 7, the team review from Game Week 8. Let's see how the triple captaincy chip got on, how my team's looking for Game Week 7, and then the best clean sheet and goal odds for Game Week 7 for you guys to think about. So first of all, let's have a look at how we got on in Game Week 6. And as you can see here, the team did pretty horribly, I would say, other than Haaland. An absolutely criminal last minute goals for Erling Haaland against Burnley, which I think were probably well deserved, seeing though he had around 1 and a bit XG, and he has just been an absolute monster recently, ending up on 48 points. So a really, really good triple captain. However, wildcarders, I would argue, probably slightly won this week as long as they had Gabriel in their team. Gabriel getting the 13-pointer in the last minute of the Arsenal game, which I was actually there for, is very fortunate for the wildcarders. However, they've got the price changes and they got the 13 points from Gabriel. Yes, we probably ended up on slightly more points than the wildcard team. However, I'm quite happy with my team. Bruno Fernandes, again, a disappointing penalty miss. If he scores that penalty, then our team looks way, way better. But we did take the -4 this week. And honestly, everybody else blanked. Other than the two Bournemouth players, Semenyo looks brilliant. Senesi looks brilliant. If you don't have both of them in your team, get them in right now. Senesi with that late assist was absolutely perfect. But yeah, other than that, basically Haaland is the only shining light for this team at the moment. So let's take a look at my team selection for Game Week 7 and the transfers I could possibly do. Right then, so this is what the team currently looks like for Game Week 7. We've obviously got Dubravka in goal because Chelsea and Sanchez play against Liverpool. I don't think the Arsenal away fixture's horrible, but Arsenal have definitely picked up their form a little bit recently. So hopefully if Aston Villa do start playing well against Burnley, then Rodgers will be a good pick. So we've got sort of both ends covered off there. Pedro Porro, very disappointed at the moment, dropped for the last Premier League game. Hopefully he can start this game because it obviously didn't go too well for them. Against Leeds, good fixture. Senesi and Semenyo both look brilliant for Bournemouth, so they're not leaving the team. Anderson, fine. Bruno Fernandes against Sunderland, hopefully we can stick with him and he can actually get us some returns. Rangers against Brentford, perfectly good fixture. As we've mentioned, Rodgers against Burnley. João Pedro did get a red card in the Champions League, but luckily that doesn't carry over to the Premier League. So he's fine to play. And honestly, Liverpool are not in amazing form right now. So I don't absolutely hate having to play João Pedro. And he looks like their talisman at the moment. And then Chris Wood, I believe, would probably come out because we'll talk about the transfers, but when I transfer out Nico Williams, most likely I'll bring Chris Wood onto the bench. Then we've got Enzo on the bench, Nico Williams on the bench and Diouf, and then Haaland with the captaincy. Honestly, Haaland's been an absolute beast at the moment against Brentford. Great fixture. They are away, but I fully expect Haaland to hopefully do the business again and get us more goals. So as I mentioned there with Nico Williams, let's have a look at my possible transfer targets for my team and then picks that I would say look pretty good for your teams this week. So this is the team loaded up into Fantasy Football Hub. So let's click the optimized team. Oh, this is the optimized team here. So it's got a 92% team rating and it actually starts Sanchez in goal. So that's interesting on the part of Fantasy Football Hub. Let's go and quickly check the AI predicted transfers or recommended transfers. So it actually says go for Pedro Porro out to Gabriel this week. And that is honestly not a bad suggestion there, to be honest, because if you go back to the team here, if we did do that, then we could just sub him in here and then play someone like Enzo against Liverpool. However, I think the better strategy, in my opinion, I want to get rid of Nico Williams anyway. So get rid of Nico Williams, bring in Gabriel. We actually do have enough money in the bank in my team because of the price changes. So if we then make that transfer, optimize the team, It actually brings Pedro Porro onto the bench, but what I would do is probably swap him with Enzo and swap Enzo there. So that's what my team most likely will look like come game week 7. So let me know down in the comments what you think of that team. But also I think some other sort of best practice transfers, I guess you could say, would be getting rid of basically any Nottingham Forest players. I think they've got really bad fixtures coming up. Diouf probably isn't ideal. Pedro Porro, I really want to get rid of to someone like Van der Ven or Romero. And then bringing in someone like Chris Richards from Crystal Palace could be a good shot. Ismail Assar looks good now. Mateta had really good XG against Liverpool. So I think if I was getting rid of someone like Chris Wood, I would go for Mateta. But I do only have one Arsenal player. So someone like Saka or Gyökeres could be a good player to bring into the team. If I sort of had the funds and the free transfers to do that. I don't really want to take another -4 this week. And I want to save my wildcard until around game week 13. So we'll see how that works. And that is the recommended transfers from my team and most likely who I'm going to transfer in. So let's now have a quick look at the clean sheet and goal projections for this week for each and every team. So if you look over here, we've got the projected goals and clean sheet odds from Rob TFPL. As always, we use his content, absolutely brilliant content creator over on X. If you don't already follow him, make sure to go and give him a follow. But what we can see here is Arsenal by far and away the biggest projected goals. So if you don't have someone like Gyökeres or Saka, just like myself, then it is going to be a scary game week for us. And also they have by far the best clean sheet percentage. So that's why I'd be bringing in someone like Gabriel. Now, taking Arsenal out of the equation, Manchester United have really good goal projections. So I will be keeping Bruno Fernandes, hoping that he can actually get something from that game and that he hasn't been taken off penalties, because that would be absolutely awful, even though he has missed loads of them recently. But I actually thought the Sunderland clean sheet percentage was going to be higher than that. So that's very interesting to see how they rate Sunderland at the moment, even with their strong performances. Then Aston Villa's quite high, so maybe Dubravka. Obviously Dubravka's not a brilliant shout. But the highest next goal projection for like sort of strikers and midfielders, I guess, is Man City with 2.0 goals projected. And you would hope that at least one of those goals would come from Erling Haaland himself. So that is why he does have the captaincy armband. But feel free to have a look at this graph yourself. Digest it for your team to see who you might want to bench, who you might want to play. Obviously, this is only predictions. It's never going to happen like this. But it definitely gives you a good sense of the sentiment around each of the games. But that is it for today's video. I hope you did enjoy. Let me know down in the comments if you do have any questions or if you have any suggestions for these types of videos on stats that you'd like to see, different things that you'd like to hear me talk about. But thank you for staying all the way to the end of the video. If you're not subscribed already, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button if you are able to. The like goal again will set at 10 likes. And good luck for game week 7 in FPL.